first started talking to you, I didn't know you lived in LA. Did you live there your whole life?
So I moved there with a suitcase when I was 18.
Oh, no way, dude.
And I lived there for 5 or 6 years, and
Wow.
I built a marketing company there, and I sold it, and then I got the hell out of there because that almost destroyed me mentally.
Wow. Well, tell me why, if you don't mind.
Okay, so I kind of have to tell you I'll try and give you the quick version if I can. So I
Okay.
built this piece of software that was for game developers. Basically, there was this engine called FPS Creator, which was drag and drop, make an FPS game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really hard to get your own assets into that engine, and it was a great engine. It's just every game that came out of it looked the same because they were using all the cookie cutter assets.
Gotcha.
So I made this piece of software that would allow you to import your own assets into there. You would like load it in, set the animations, set like the health of the enemy or whatever, click export, and boom, it's in the engine. And I put it online for sale for $5, and nobody bought it. And I was destroyed because I spent so much time in my life trying to build this thing that I thought for sure was needed because I used it every day, and nobody bought it. And so I started researching marketing. I got a bunch of books. I read a bunch of stuff. I redid the landing page. I messed with a bunch of stuff. I raised the price from $5 to $29, and it started selling like crazy.
No way, dude.
And I made like 6 figures as a high school student trying to like with some random thing on the internet.
Yeah.
And it was like, what is going on? Like I used to joke because I had this PayPal card and people would pay via PayPal and the PayPal card never ran out of money. And I was just like, what is going on? And of course that ended, the engine went outdated and that stopped working. But my dad had a friend in LA that owned a real estate development firm, and he had 19 different properties. And he was talking to him one day and said, "Oh, my son knows marketing, blah, blah, blah." And I managed to get a meeting with the guy, and he was like, "You know marketing?" I was like, "Yeah, totally. I did this thing, and I marketed this thing, and it's great." And he ended up giving me a job where basically they gave me a place to live in exchange for doing all the marketing. And I did marketing for like the 19 different properties. I built them all websites. I did SEO.
Wow.
I did a bunch of stuff for them. Just learning as I was going.
Yeah.
And then using that, sounds like you got a phone call.
No, that's okay. We'll keep it going. It's life.
Yeah, it
We're good.
happens. So learning all that, I had those 19 properties as like a portfolio. So then I started a marketing company, blah, blah, blah. It turns out a couple years later, I kind of realized like, what the hell am I doing? I was supposed to make video games.
Yeah,
and
dude.
I'm doing marketing.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I was starting to get to the point where, it's a company. You have to make money. And so I was taking on clients that like I didn't believe in their product.
Yeah.
And I was in like the moral obligation of like having to sell something that I don't think people should buy.
Yeah.
And that like ripped my soul out of me. And I was just
man,
like, this is not like, it was such a stressful thing.
Yeah.
And then I was having issues with my partner, and I was just like, whatever, I'm done. And so we ended up selling it, and I took off on a road trip across the United States in my Challenger, and I just, as long as it took, I stopped everywhere I wanted to go. I stopped Roswell to see aliens.
No way,
stopped in
dude.
Vegas to hang out. Like, I just did whatever the hell I wanted to do. And like at the end of like a year or two of like not knowing what I wanted to do, I just kept remembering video games. That's what I wanted to do.
Yep.
And that's what I got back into, and that's when I started the whole YouTube channel. And at the beginning of the YouTube channel too, I didn't have any game development stuff to share because I hadn't made any video games. So I started sharing marketing stuff.
Wow.
And that seemed to be beneficial to a few people.
Man, dude,
So-
that's such a beautiful story. But it's so strange because it parallel tracks my story like almost to a T. I mean, I didn't sell anything for $100,000, but like when I was in high school, I made my first game, Coma, this Flash game, and it went gangbusters like instantly.
Wow.
And I think I made like $25,000
Wow.
as an 18-year-old.
That's
And
epic.
I remember like going to the pool with my friends and saying like, dude, I just made like at the time I made like $1,000 starting out, and I was like, I just made $1,000 off of this stupid game, and they were like, are you serious? Off of a game? And so at that point, I kind of understood like it's almost intoxicating to make games and not only have people appreciate them, but be willing to give you money for them. Like at that moment, I knew I wanted to do it. But listen, so I go I talked to my dad, and he's like, you should do this, you should do this. And I kind of got hesitant. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go to college and get a degree in basically marketing. I got a degree in graphic communications, which is like printing and design and stuff, and some like general communication stuff. So I worked after I graduated from Clemson. I got married and I got a job at a marketing agency. And dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, where you're just doing work that you just don't want to do. Like, it's not that I didn't believe in the work, it's that I had no feelings about it at all. I was doing client work for tire companies and faucet companies. And and it was like training modules and stuff. So during that time, dude, I said, I know I'm going to like end up just blowing my brains out if I stay here. So I said, I'm going to work my ass off every morning, during lunch, and in the evenings. And my wife was really like, she totally believed in me, and she was like, go upstairs, go in your office and just work in the evenings. So like, I try and get in 3 to 4 hours a day, 2 to 4 hours a day, to finish Pinstripe. And so that was like from 18 to 25, 18 years old to 25 years old, I was just working my butt off, dude. And it's the reason I think I'm so against complaining in the industry is because I think it slowed me down. Now, obviously it's really hard to get to that mindset where you believe in yourself and you're fully confident in what you're doing. But if you look at anybody who's successful, they get to a point where they do start to believe in themselves. It doesn't mean they're not insecure from time to time. But back to our original talking point is you've got to learn, indie game developers have got to learn to talk, not only like convince other people that they know what they're doing, but convince themselves to look in the mirror and say, I've done this. Like you, Tim, have not only did you start this marketing agency and sell hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of this plugin that you made, but you also started this YouTube channel and you're creating games right now. And so you've got to learn to like, just like I need to teach myself that I've done this, I can keep doing it and I can do it better, And I want indie game developers to learn how to do that, to battle that insecurity.
Totally. And I think like for me, like I always had that insecurity, and I was always scared of like, well, what if I do this and it doesn't do anything? Or what if I do this and I get 100,000 people to sign up and then I can't do anything and I can't have a life, and my brain would just like make whatever excuse just to not get started, right?
Yep.
And like the thing that usually always made me more confident is the thing that helped me build the confidence was just having the courage to start. Because I think courage and confidence are two different things. Courage comes from no experience, just doing the thing that you're terrified of.
Right.
Confidence comes from actually having done the thing and like, you know, getting places. And I what I tell people on my channel all the time is like, I have spent the last 18 months building up a YouTube channel, right? Like I have 26,000 people. I have thousands on an email list. I have thousands on Twitter. I could come out with a rap album right now and I would get sales, right? Like it doesn't matter what I do at this point because I have people paying attention.
Yeah.
I've spent the last 18 months making people care about what I say. Right. And like adding value to people's lives.
Yeah.
And I get emails all the time saying, Tim, thank you so much. You've added so much value in my life. Like, because I've spent 18 months adding value to people's lives. And when I come out with something, when I release a game, like by default, I get more players than everyone else that's not doing anything. Like you get zero by default.
Yeah.
Right? Zero people play your game, zero people download your song or whatever. Zero.
Yeah.
And if you don't put in the work to actually build up something and make people care about it, like you shouldn't complain about that. That's just how the world works.
I think you're taking I always say I was talking to my intern about this. There's if you think about the indie game industry as like a maze, like a hedge maze. There's like a pot of gold at one corner or something, and that's what everybody's looking for. Everybody's in the hedge maze, but there is a way to get out of the hedge maze, bypass the whole damn thing, and there's a backdoor entrance. And my point in saying this is that if you're clever enough with your marketing, and if you're clever enough with how you approach the sale of your game, it is possible for you to fund your studio and have revenue coming in from your games in a way that you didn't expect.